Well, from Grand Island, I know there was at least a dozen individuals that stepped forward, in addition, of course, to an outstanding presentation from the introduction from Senator Glore, and Senator Glore's closing remarks were right on. Really proud of this testimony that occurred on behalf of trying to think how we can go forward more positive with a transparent, well-defined process that doesn't pit one community against another community, but once again, what serves veterans. It's a great example of how government works in the state of Nebraska, where you have public opportunity to speak. Obviously, it supports First Amendment rights, which many of our veterans, of course, have sacrificed so much to provide us. No, it's a continued step towards looking at a process of how we can go ahead and move positively in the future, and I think some really good things will come as a result of it. Based on this testimony, we'll go ahead and reach out and to obviously the senators involved, but they'll need to go ahead and think this through. We understand that there'll be a committee meeting scheduled potentially Wednesday to take action on this bill. So we're hoping for advancement to go ahead and promote good government, open transparency, but a greater decision that's going to go ahead and hopefully set us in a path that's more positive in our state. So communication will occur most definitely.
I think it was a respectful discussion about an important issue to central Nebraska. I think most of the right questions were asked. I think whether the right questions were answered the right way on behalf of the committee remains to be seen. But I was pleased that overall it didn't degenerate into a lot of name calling and finger pointing, which is certainly from the sort of phone calls and emails and letters that I get. That sort of feeling is out there on both sides of the issue, and it was nice that it wasn't, for the most part, represented here in the hearing. The committee will make a decision as to whether to advance the bill, sit on the bill, kill the bill, and it can advance the bill but change it. I mean, it has the ability as a committee to go in and amend the bill in different ways. Who knows whether that will happen or not, but there isn't a lot of time. So if the committee is going to act on the bill, I would expect, and I say there's not a lot of time, we are in a short session and we're almost at the halfway point in days. So bills are going to be heard, especially with all the filibusters and big issues that are out there. They've got to start coming out of committee in the next couple of weeks. In my closing comments, I reiterated Senator Hadley's question, which is, why did the city of Grand Island come in closer to last than first? And that's been the recurring theme in Grand Island that's led to a mistrust of the selection process. It has been trying to figure out why some of the scoring was as unusual as it was and why some of the points were as unusual as there was. And that's why I introduced the bill in large extent, is let's make sure this doesn't happen again without trying to remove this veil of uncertainty about decision making. The chance to look back and bump up the scoring doesn't exist. Therein lies one of the problems, that if you had a vetting process within the legislature and a chance to ask those questions, for senators like this to sit around and ask the questions that Senator Wallman was asking, as an example, I think you'd end up with a greater degree of transparency. Grand Island may not like the answers, and understand, I certainly am committed to the fact that if I'm successful with this bill, it comes back to the legislature, and the decision is it's going to Kearney. That's the way it is. If the decision is it's going to Hastings, that's the way it is. I mean, I can't make an argument for a process, put it in place, and then say, but I don't like the results. I mean, I will honor this bill if it comes out, regardless of what the findings are.
As the home moves to Kearney, we'll probably become more active, but right now we're meeting on a monthly basis, just kind of organizing and getting our stuff together, I guess you might say. But we, as a committee, decided we needed to come down and see what was going to happen with this hearing on 935. We are here in opposition of it, but we won't probably get up and speak a lot, but there'll be some representatives from our community that will be speaking. So that's our reason for being here, and just show our opposition for 935. And whether it's going to go anywhere, we really don't know. That's up to the committee, whether it comes out of committee and then goes to the floor. And of course, the process, but we're really in opposition of the retroactive part. As far as the rest of it, it may be a good idea to, look at things that are over 15 million that, are changed one location to another. I guess that's yet to be seen. The process so far has been something that we supported. We thought it was a good competitive process, and it was for the veterans, and that's another reason we're here. We're here for veterans. We're not here to, blast one community or necessarily support one community over the other, but we're here in support of veterans. The process was set out. The legislature voted for it. It came out unanimous, I think, in favor of the process. The process should be upheld and stuck with.
The message that we're trying to bring today is that the Kearney area, for the Central Nebraska Veterans Home, Central Nebraska is ready to accept this project and move forward with it and support our veterans. The process was very, very transparent from the beginning, and every entity, from the legislature all down to the cities involved, agreed on the process. All we want is our veterans taken care of. Our veterans deserve a new home. The home in Grand Island it's old, it's out of date, it's antiquated, and it's time for our veterans to have new digs. I'm not an architect or an engineer by any means, but I do know studies have already been done on renovating the home at the state level, and those studies were conclusive that it's not feasible to renovate that structure.